Hello and welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews review hosted by your favourite fossil from down under, Ben. And I'm reviewing none other than Jurassic World Rebirth, which is the seventh entry in the Jurassic Park / World franchise and somewhat of a soft reboot to the Jurassic Park World franchise. And it is a film that I was looking forward to fully, to be honest, just because of the director attached. Personally, Gareth Edwards is always someone who I've felt has been phenomenal when it comes to scale and sound, and essentially that's something that these films need, right? Overall, casting and whatnot obviously had me excited as well with the talent attached. But without further ado, I'll get into my review. Now, I can't help but feel like this film is a letdown in the sense of it's a tale of two halves, really. The writing, whether it be the script or the screenplay, the story, it's just not good in my opinion. The actual story that is there, it's just not good in my opinion, unfortunately. The reality is comes in at 2 hours and 15-20 minutes or so, and there's a lot of subplots in the film that just did not work for me, and I'll get into the further information, and I'll keep this completely spoiler free as all of my reviews. At the end of the day, it took a genuine 30 to 45 minutes of the film to basically set up the story, whether it be Scarlett Johansson's character coming into it, who's a covert ops operator, and then Jonathan Bailey, who's your dino expert, your Alan Grant type character in this film. And it took 30 to 45 minutes to actually. It did a fine job in setting up the world and where we're at now pretty quickly in terms of where Dominion ended off, and it picked it up. But by the time the actual story evolved and got into the nitty gritty of the actual plot, it did take a 30 to 45 minutes. And by the time it got there, it almost, in my opinion, lost me to some extent. I'm sure lost some of the audience to some extent. And that's something you can't do when you're realistically making a film about dinosaurs at the end of the day. I don't think you can lose too many people when you've got that at bay. And yes, obviously you've got your popcorn style, you can't, you're obviously going to have fun with it and you're obviously going to enjoy it to some extent. But at the end of the day, to have you feel empathy and feel a somewhat sense of urgency and peril, you need to obviously care about these characters. Now, I did enjoy Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey in the film, who are your main three. I did enjoy them in the film. I thought they all had good chemistry. It did feel like the script was entirely lacking for what talent they actually had. So they did the best with what they've got. The subplot of the family in the film, completely get rid of, in my opinion. I feel like it didn't really do anything better for the movie. I didn't like any of the characters in that situation. I didn't like the story that they were on. It just felt like they were almost there to almost serve a few dinosaur sequences, essentially, some set pieces, which were really, there were some really awesome set pieces in the film, but overall I just had no care for the character whatsoever to actually feel that sense of peril and frightness. But where I will get into my positives, firstly, I don't think it's nearly as bad as what these critics are saying. It is an enjoyable film. It is a good popcorn film. The story's just not as good as it could be, unfortunately. Gareth Edwards does a great job here, in my opinion. The film visually looks fantastic. It looks better than any of the world counterparts, whether it be Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, World. I think visually the cinematography here is really, really strong. And visually, Gareth Edwards, you don't have to go far into his filmography to see that he's done obviously Rogue One, he's done Godzilla, he did Creator most recently a couple years ago. He's always had an impeccable sense of scale, and that doesn't go away here. It really does, and I think the score here to accompany it is fantastic, as well as the sound, which plays into that scale part. And I think that all that aspect is really strong. The technical side of things, this film's really, really strong. and I did like that they definitely went more of the horror route than like the world films, and that I really enjoyed. And there were some of the more exciting set pieces that I've seen in these world films since the originals, and I really enjoyed that. It's just that they're way too far in between. It does start bringing me into the third act, and I think the third act is a lot stronger than the first, like the second and third act. But by the time they get into it, as I said, it's just really the start. But I did enjoy the ending in the third act, and I think the film in general is probably worth going to see alone, just for these set pieces. It is a perfect action blockbuster film in the sense that you can go get your popcorn and turn your smart mind off. However, obviously there are films coming out later this month, even whether it be Superman, whether it be Fantastic Four. Whereas obviously, if you're watching you're wanting to watch your one film for the month, this may not be it, unfortunately. But overall, I had an okay time with it. I think it's an okay movie. Would I be interested in seeing these characters again? Potentially, who knows? I think the hard thing with these films is it's almost guaranteed to make one bill at the box office. They always have. I think even Dominion made 1 point something billion. So I know it's on track to make 300 million for the opening weekend, which is absurd. So it's probably something we're going to see again. It's only shy, 4 years, 5 years almost since the previous one. So it's not really been long at all since that. Before it's obviously got a soft reboot, but I had an okay time with it. I think there are things to enjoy. Could have been a lot better, unfortunately, but overall, that's how I feel. Comment below, let me know what you think of the movie. If you did like it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do comment below. If you like the video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to catch more of our reviews. We'll see you next time.